Hi everyone, it's Arthi. It's been a long time. Hello to everyone. This is an update that I'm posting one full year after my previous update. So I'd like to update you in terms of where I'm at with my lymphoma journey. In 2016, I was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma, stage 3A. And after 2016, I was on watch and wait for 3.5 years. And at the end of 2019, my follicular lymphoma transformed into diffuse large B cell lymphoma, which meant that the cancer was now a lot more aggressive and it was fast growing. So the oncologist recommended that I start chemotherapy right away. I went through 6 cycles of RCHOP, which is immune chemotherapy, and that lasted 5 months total. It's you have a cycle, one cycle every 3 weeks, and I had 6 cycles of that. After my chemo regimen, I was, there were several PET scans that the oncologist took, and what it showed is that the aggressive cancer that I had significantly reduced. It had the SUV uptake went down from 22 to 3 point something, which is quite good, because 22 was extremely high and it needed to be treated right away. The situation that I achieved after going through the chemotherapy is what I was left with was most likely the follicular lymphoma that I had to begin with. So I did not achieve a cure. In some patients, they actually achieve full cure after going through chemotherapy as the first line. In my case, I didn't. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it was my follicular lymphoma that was transformed, as opposed to people that just get diffuse large B cell lymphoma. Patients that have diffuse large B cell lymphoma and no other type of lymphoma to start with typically have a better success rate than those that have some other underlying issue, which is follicular lymphoma that transformed. That's what happened with me. So I think, in all honesty, it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. One always hopes for complete remission and that you're cured. And in my case, 2.5 years of being stable with no symptoms of cancer, I was starting to feel really good, and it started to move to the back of my mind, thinking that, I'd really dodged the bullet. And, to some extent I did, of course, but now, recently my CT scan showed that my lymph nodes have enlarged again, and I have them sort of all over. I mean, it's a blood cancer, so it's really all over your body. I have affected lymph nodes in several parts of my body, which is where the lymph nodes are. So here, in the axillary, as well as the abdominal pelvic area, and that's where the majority of my disease burden is. So after the CT scan showed a growth in the lymph nodes, the oncologist recommended a PET scan. And unfortunately, the PET scan showed that the lymph nodes had, in fact, had cancer. So, of course, I had follicular to begin with, but now there was more activity in the lymph nodes. So not only had they increased in size, the SUV uptake has now increased to a little bit over 14, which is, again, displaying an aggressive cancer. So I've relapsed. That's the official terminology, that I'm one of the relapsed DLBCL patients. And relapse is, of course, not ideal. It's not something that anybody wants, but that's the situation I find myself in. The next step now is that there will be a biopsy. I'm having a biopsy in 2 days, and the biopsy is going to be the most definitive test. Really, when they biopsy, they look at the actual cells, the actual tissue of the affected cancer cells, and with the analysis that pathologists do, they can actually tell what the composition of the cancer is, how aggressive, how fast it's growing, and also the treatments that can be used for it. So that's what's going to happen next week. I will update all of you. There's a lot of information on different sort of treatments for second line treatment for diffuse large B cell lymphoma. The most common that my oncologist has told me is high dose chemo followed by autologous stem cell transplant, which is a fairly intense, not only the chemo is very intense, it's very hard on the body, but the stem cell transplant is also very complicated. Of course, they're getting better at administering these things, but it's still a fairly complicated process. So I don't know, I'm still hoping, I have my fingers crossed that I'm going to be miraculously told that, you don't need to take that option. At this point, even RCHOP is sounding like much easier than any high dose chemo and stem cell transplant sounds. But I'll wait until the biopsy results. I will update all of you and let you know. If there are people out there that are in my situation, I really hope it helps. Please do share your experiences as well. I've noticed that the comment section in my previous videos is incredible. I mean, the kind of people that write and share their stories and also offer me their wishes and their prayers. I'm so grateful for that. Please keep that coming. And if you've watched this far, please let me know if you want shorter videos or if you want the full detailed videos that I tend to do. I would appreciate any feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back next week. Thank you.